Full Scope, a podcast of two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love, the headlines of pop culture, and the meaning behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going, man?
It's going.
It's going.
It's going.
Well, we have a lot of topics to get into today, as usual, and we're going to do some NFL topics and college football ones, also some NBA topics, album reviews in the second half. We're going to do a review of Rounders, but start off with just thoughts on the Chiefs comeback against the Raiders and thoughts on Las Vegas going for two. I mean, just a crazy Monday night game as Kansas City was able to win 30-29 after a 17-0 deficit. Travis Kelce also had a record-breaking 4 touchdowns. And the Raiders got the ball back one last time with 2:29 left, and a long third down pass to Devontae Adams was thought to be in, but was taken back. What are your thoughts on how the game ended, and also just the way the decision making from Josh McDaniels for them to go for 2 was something that was just highly, debated about, and also thought of, was it actually the smart move to make?
I think the play calling all night was pretty spectacular for both sides, especially the Raiders getting on the board first, going up 17-0, and then here comes the Kansas City Chiefs, right? But I think the play call was perfect throughout the game. The 4-for-1 where, Jacobs got stuffed. I mean, I would have ran the ball too on 4-for-1 when he has 154 yards and a touchdown as a 37-yard long one, right? Yeah. So I would have ran the ball too. I think every play call that happened was supposed to happen. I don't take nothing away from the offensive coordinator. Yeah, a couple plays got away from them. Derek Carr didn't pick up the last one, but I think the play calling was okay for the Raiders. It's just their record is not showing what they're actually doing on the field. And I think it's 1 or 2 mistakes or 1 or 2 plays that makes the difference between the W and the L column. But I think the play caller was fine. I think Derek Carr was in a groove. He was 19 for 30, 241 yards with 2 touchdowns. And the biggest thing was no interceptions. So the play calling was good. Running game was working.
Everything was clicking.
Everything was clicking. It's just the Kansas City Chiefs just figure out a way to win. They figure out a way. They play call. Man, Andy Reid.
Team doesn't die easily. That team does not die easily, man.
No, 4 touchdowns. Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Like, another highlight of that game was Travis Kelce and the chemistry he has with Patrick Mahomes. Like, what stands out to you about what they can do together, and also just like how good of a tight end Travis Kelce has been able to be for like the last several years, because he's super consistent, gets to his spot so quickly, and everybody knows on a third down it's going to him, but he still is able to get it and convert it.
He knows how to create separation in that body, man, in that vessel, as you will. Like, he just knows how to route run. He's just smart. I don't know if you remember the couple plays. I think it was a playoff of a Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl game where he was telling 15, like, hey, if they're doing this, I'm going to do this. And exactly happened the way he said it. He was streaked up for I think it was a goal route. Right up the middle, because they was in cover 2 or it was cover 2 because they're going to say, So they were in cover 2. So knowing how smart he is and how much he watches film and just a complete mismatch for anybody, it shows he is the best tight end in the NFL. I used to thought it was George Kittle, but George Kittle has been hurt for 2 years. Travis Kelce has been healthy and been consistent. And man, what a gem! If they would have got rid of him,
that's the thing.
I think they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, you lose Tyreek Hill, big threat, but you need a consistent guy like Travis Kelce. It's showing you they're 4-1. They're 4-1. They're playing well, and now they're headed into a matchup against Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like, these are the 2 teams that are always mentioned in the AFC. Like, what are your early thoughts on that matchup and what could be the key in it? Because obviously, this is a game that has been talked about for so long into the season, and it's one that's definitely on Buffalo's mind for them, avenging that last year playoff loss.
I think is it as big as marketed, but I think when it comes to this season, I think the Bills are slow playing it a little bit. I think they have their high moments and they definitely have their low moments. Kansas City Chiefs have shown through 5 weeks and going into the 6th week against the Bills that they are more than capable of winning ball games convincingly, even though they came back from against the Raiders, but they know how to adjust quickly. I think the Bills is still going through the process of learning how to adjust to certain things. Kansas City Chiefs have that figured out. Andy Reid has that figured out. There's no way possible you come back from this much of a deficit. The last team to think of is the Patriots, right? When they're coming back from the Super Bowl 2015, but they know how to come back. They know how to gel together. I think the Bills are missing that element in their football team, and that's getting over the hump. So I think it's a big game as marketed, but I think last year it was bigger because it was the playoffs. Two, it's two young quarterbacks going at it, the future of the NFL, right?
Literally the future. These guys are going to be
literally the future of the NFL.
Yeah.
So but now week 6, both teams look decent. I think Kansas City Chiefs is the more potent team, even with their wide receiver core kind of in shambles. If you in shambles because it's not as strong as it was last year. A lot of different pieces, and the running game isn't working like it did last year. But they're figuring out how to win. But I think convincingly the Chiefs are a better team. But I think it's still a marketed game. I think it's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, definitely. And now getting into thoughts on the Ravens, a tight win versus Cincinnati at home. Baltimore won 19-17 with Justin Tucker kicking a 43-yard field goal on the final play, and now they're in sole possession of first place in the AFC North. And Tucker also made a 58-yard kick in the third quarter and just kept an impressive streak alive with 61 straight successful field goals in the fourth quarter and overtime. But what are your thoughts on Baltimore's win against Cincinnati? Them getting in that number one spot in the AFC North, and also when you have a kicker like Justin Tucker, like you feel super confident, like no matter what the distance is. I mean, like this guy's been doing it for years. So what are your thoughts on that? And also, Baltimore getting that number one spot.
Baltimore got to figure out something different. I love the win. Cincinnati hasn't looked like, a Super Bowl contender team from, previous year, but I still think they have, the goods to be that team, but it's a lot of changes from last year. Secondary is changing. Joe Burrow is not looking like what he used to be from the year prior, literally not even a full year removed from the Super Bowl. But I think Baltimore and the team, they're number one right now, but I think they got to figure out another way how to win. When your tight end is the most targeted wide receiver, not even wide receiver, he's a tight end.
Yeah.
When he's getting up the bulk of the reception and the offense is going through your tight end, you gotta find a way to get the ball to your wide receivers. You have if it screens, whether it's reverse plays, trick plays. I know Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal quarterback, dual threat quarterback, and more dominant when he's running. But you have to find a way to get the ball into your wide receivers' hands, so take away from the tight end, because eventually. I know Mark Andrews is a mismatch, but eventually they're going to figure out a way to stop him. And then where are you going to go? The running game, you don't want to get Lamar Jackson hurt. He's in contract year. They have to figure out another way to win, is what I'm saying.
Definitely have to switch
Not taking anything from Lamar. Yeah, they got to switch it up because we all know who's going to get the ball 95% of the time. It is not the running back.
No.
It is not the wide receiver. It's Mark.
Yeah. And also, like, when you look at Cincinnati on the other side, like them coming off of a Super Bowl loss, having a great run last year, like, what are your thoughts on some of their early struggles? And is there another team that's struggling so far in the NFL that you are kind of surprised at them having a slow start?
Ooh, that is a good one. The Patriots is one. Just how sneaky they were at the tail end of the season. And I thought, his name escapes me. Oh, wow.
Mac Jones?
Well, Matt Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jones, I thought he kind of figured it out, the system, and I thought he was in a good groove, and they made the right moves in the offseason. They were a sneaky 10-6 team last year because they didn't start off hot. Then they got Cam Newton, and Cam Newton left like it was a big show. But yes, and under the radar, they've kind of figured it out and got to the playoffs, but they got a slow start. That's kind of surprising me. The Saints is another one I thought was going to be a bit better. I knew Jameis was going to be up in the air, but I thought they had a good system to be able to have a Kamara's back. They got the star wide receiver back. They got a lot of pieces coming back. Defense looked good with Lattimore, but I just not panning over. It's a lot of teams in the NFL. What they're doing on the field is not translating to W's and L's just for like one or two minor plays that make a difference. But no, for those two, Patriots and the Saints, I thought Saints was going to do pretty good starting off, and I thought the Patriots was going to capitalize on what they did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And now getting into the Cowboys winning versus the Rams, and thoughts on just how the matchup versus Philly in their next game. Dallas was able to win 22-10 on the road in LA and only allowed 87 yards from the Rams in the second half. And this is one of those developments where we're seeing Cooper Rush. He's been undefeated so far in his time stepping in for Dak. The defense just looks lights out in almost every game since their first win. Like, what are your thoughts on how dominant this defense has been, and also just like what your early thoughts on against a top team in the league versus Philly?
Defense wins championships. I think for the first time in a while, the defense is picking up the slack for the offense. Yeah. It's always, even when Dak is, struggling a little bit, they're putting points on the board, they're getting the ball, they're moving the ball, and the defense secondary always finds a way to mess it up for them.
Yeah.
Now the other way, the shoes on the other foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we have the defense looking so poised, even with man, I still don't think he's that good, Diggs, man. That's just me. I think he's a situational cornerback, to be honest with you. But that's my opinion. I don't think he's that good of a cornerback, but he's in the right place at the right time. But I think with Dak out and Rush trying to figure out the offense, and then the running game is non-existent. Ezekiel Elliott is 22 attempts for 78 yards. Pollard he's not a every down back either. So it's just, when your running game is not working and your star quarterback is not, obviously not in the game, you're gonna look for leadership in somewhat form, and then your defense steps up, and that's what they're doing. But I love what their front seven is doing. Oh man, Parrish, that guy, man, he's a freak of nature. He's what Chase Young was supposed to be consistently. I know this is only his second year, but man, Chase Young has not panned out. Obviously injuries, but man, Parrish, you can move him around. He can even play 3-tech if you would. Like, he'll get down there and get in 3-point stands and go after the football. You like those type of guys. So I think, they finally figure out a good system to get players in the consistency, especially that secondary. Their secondary hasn't been good since Skandrick was there. And that's 2012. Yeah, that's a long time. Long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And now getting into the Giants win versus Green Bay, and just kind of thoughts on which, I mean, another topic Savon's will probably be like, I don't want to talk about. but they were able to win 27-22 and scored just 17 unanswered points in the second half, as Jones played on a sprained ankle, led 3 scoring drives to erase a 20-10 deficit. And this is also the best starts the Giants have had since 2009. Looking at this win for the Giants, and I mean, the NFC East is looking really good so far. What were your thoughts on it, and just kind of also some of the things that the Packers didn't do right to close the game?
They capitalized on great plays, to be honest with you. You look at the numbers, they didn't wow us going into halftime. It was 20-10. I think we were in a good position. We get the ball at halftime, and their defense stepped up when it mattered the most. They created turnovers. They got to the football. We have a banged up offensive line. They capitalized on that. The offense is not going to wow you. Saquon Barkley They mixed Saquon into the game plan a lot, coming out of the backfield, running the football, and different play calls to get him into space. They didn't wow. The numbers not wow. Jones only had 200 passing yards. Barkley had 70 rushing yards and a touchdown. They just capitalized on great plays and great opportunities. And that's what football is all about. It's about, inches, and it's all about seizing the opportunity when you have it. I mean, the game wasn't a wow. We didn't do anything crazy, but I mean, hats off to them to come back, 17. Well, they were down 20-10 and scored 17 points to end the game. And we had an opportunity at the end and just didn't capitalize. Great defense, great play calling by the defensive coordinator. So, I mean, hats off to them. They still suck.
I love that you added that in there. Still suck. But like looking at this division though, like which team do you think can actually like be in terms of who's like playing well, playing the most impressive so far? Like which team like do you have the most confidence in going forward in the NFC East to like really be that top team that can stay consistent and not just start off strong but like really finish well also?
The Commanders, now joking. I'll have to say the Giants. I'm not convinced.
Really?
You know, Dallas Cowboys defense is playing really well, but for how long? For at some point they're going to meet a team that can put up points like a Kansas City Chiefs, Green Bay Packers, Baltimore Ravens team that they're going to have to figure out how to stop Lamar Jackson, and your quarterback on the other side is going to have to put up some points. And I think Cooper Rush is not sustainable, and their running game is not working. Can't get the ball to CeeDee Lamb, can't get the ball to a couple other guys. So my faith in that offense is non-existent. I think the New York Giants, Saquon Barkley is 100% healthy, and the more they game plan and put him in the game plan to get the ball in his hands in space, it's going to be a scary sight. It's going to go to his rookie season. I know they're trying to gradually get him there, but once they unleash him, it's gonna be a sight to see. Saquon Barkley is a special talent when healthy. So I have confidence in that offense more than I have confidence in
even over Philly
Cowboys offense.
Even over Philly?
Yeah, for sure. I think Philly's schedule at this point, you know, first 5 games has not been as tough. They're gonna in the stretch
of had a light
between.
Yeah, that is true.
I think games 7 through 12 is where it's going to get interesting, and Jalen is going to get into some great pass rush and to see how that offensive line holds up and see how the defense holds up. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from them. They're playing great football, but I just have my faith in the Giants. 4-1, they're on the love boat. On the love boat, like they're on something. They're just sailing on the seas right now. 4-1, they have the momentum. I like what Jalen Hurts is doing, but I just think their schedule has not been as strong as the Giants and even as the Cowboys, to be honest with you.
Definitely. And another topic we didn't talk about before was the Tua situation, and obviously like that has been something with the concussion protocol. And you're seeing quarterbacks even officiate it differently, like with Grady Jarrett, his hit on Tom Brady, and just refs calling things differently. Even the Chris Jones hit with Kansas City. Like, what are your thoughts on that situation? And also, just how officials are starting to call things differently with quarterbacks in terms of like of roughing the passer, and just like how things are getting nitpicked even to a different degree with what happened to Tua.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Tom Brady tackle. I think it's obviously it's situational, and it's an individual ref. So if a ref, if I see what I perceive as a hard hit is not going to be the same as, because you can maneuver around the rules when calling flags and letting things play a little bit. But my perception of what's happening is going to be different from another referee in another division, another game. But that one against Tom Brady was not a flag, but I think they're cracking down more now because of the Tua situation. And that should have been a flag, and he should have been ejected out of the game for that hit. That gave him a seizure, bro. I didn't know he had a seizure at first, and I made a joke about his hands. And I felt so bad about it, so I repented immediately. I asked God for forgiveness, bro. I said his fingers was tutting.
Oh my goodness! Oh gosh! This bro.
I repented. I'm sorry. I repented. I did, but I felt Sometimes I just have jokes at the wrong point. Just side note. No, I'm not going to say that one. But I think they're doing it different, calling fouls differently now because of the Tua situation. But obviously you have to take into account a perception of individual referees and what they see as a flag or not. But I think quarterbacks are, ideally more guarded than anybody else on the football field. The flags are more going to be trying to save them and save their careers more than anybody on the field. But especially Tom Brady. Nobody, Tommy. We can't have Tommy. He's going through a divorce. He doesn't want to.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah.
You went there.
He's already going through it. You know what?
He's already going through. We don't want you to get hit, man. We don't want you to get hit like that.
We don't want you to get hit like Tua did, which is so sad, man. Oh my gosh, which is terrible. If I were him, I would take a long.
That's the thing.
Long
hiatus. Yeah. That's a lot of people are saying. Like, they were Tua, I would put it up for a little bit. Don't even think about coming in any time in the near future.
You got your guaranteed money. I hope you put that back. I hope you didn't splurge, and you're fine for X amount of time. You don't have to play football anymore. You gave football all that needed from you, from high school, from Alabama to now. You don't have to prove anything now. You are like, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not. He's not solidified. We give him a pass because of the situation that happened. Oh, he's definitely not solidified.
Oh no, not like that. Not like that. You're taken care of for a little bit. Not definitely. He's He's not in that.
He solidified college football. I think he should. He'll be in the college Hall of Fame eventually.
A lot more to prove. Yeah, a lot more to prove.
But no, I think he definitely gets a pass because of the situation. So for him, like Andrew Luck did, I'm retiring.
Oh, yeah, and that was one of the smartest moves. And Andrew Luck knew this is the right time to step out. I don't need to stay here anymore. Yeah, definitely.
Tua needs to do the same thing.
Absolutely. And now transitioning to college football, with just thoughts on Alabama's close win versus Texas A&M at home. Jalen Milroe led them to a 24-20 win, and without a Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young, they needed 2 late stops from Will Anderson Jr. and the defense. And looking at this matchup for Alabama, and the past few years, last year at Texas A&M beats them. This year they get pushed to the brink again. Like, what were your thoughts on how they were able to get through this without Bryce Young, and their defense kind of like stepping up at the necessary points in this game where they really were getting pushed to the brink?
Oh yeah, man. Hey, this was a doozy. I was at the edge of my seat the entire time. You could tell the difference, first and foremost, between Bryce Jones and Milroe. You could tell the difference between the two. Decision-making and the clock going off in your head as a quarterback.
That internal clock.
The internal clock going off, because he holds the ball a long time. And he has in that game, he had a 70-yard run. So I think he's trying to be a pocket passer when he's like Lamar. He has the ability to zip it. We saw a couple of plays, especially on that slant going to the end zone. We know he can sling it, but you hurt teams a lot quicker and more impactful with your running ability, especially when you should be out of the pocket. I think that's the difference between him and Bryce Jones. Decision making and that internal clock saying, "Okay, I got to get out of here. I got to help my offensive line because they can't hold it." But man, what a game! That last play I thought was a pass interference. I did.
I kind of thought so too.
He had him hooked.
Yeah.
But I think if they called one before, and I think that should have been one too. But what a game, man! The defense stepped up, but Texas A&M had the opportunity. If that play was called, if that pass interference was called, oh boy.
Yeah, and they would be heading into Tennessee with the loss. Like that's different. That's so different. It would be drastically different. And now getting into UCLA's win versus Utah and thoughts on this matchup, because they win by 10 at home. Thompson or Robinson passed for 299 yards and 4 touchdowns while also running for a score and leading their first 6-0 starts in 2005. Like, what are your thoughts on them, getting to this really strong undefeated start, and also this particular performance that they had against a pretty good Utah team? And this was the type of win that they pushed them to a 6-0 start.
It's UCLA snuck up on me, to be honest with you. When I heard that, when they're 3-0, I was like, okay, it's the third week in the season, and they go 4-0 and 5-0, and then now you beat you beat a pretty good Utah team that still have great weapons and still playing great football. In week 7, but UCLA looks like they're wanting to get down. They have a long way to go. Don't get me wrong. I think their strength of schedule is definitely 7 days, and I mean week. Utah is a pretty good team, but that you look at their schedule, they haven't played anybody good. They celebrated for beating South Alabama by 1.
It almost gives me that image of Patrick Beverly when they won the play-in game and he like stood up on the
Perfect.
Man, like they just won Game 7 of the finals.
Right. Y'all just go, bro. They were crying in the locker room.
Yeah.
Like, bro, that's insane. But no, UCLA has a long way to go, man. They beat a good Utah team, but they have a long way to go. If they were in another conference, come on, man. And I can't wait till this playoffs, comes out with the 16 teams getting, or 8 or 16 teams get in there, and teams like UCLA get a shot to play an ACC or SEC team, and then they get smacked, and they understand the difference between the conferences and the schedules. I can't wait. But they look impressive, but not good enough to say, hey, UCLA is making some noise.
Right.
I can't say that just yet. But Thompson looked good.
Not at that level yet.
No, not that level. Trabante looked good too. I haven't heard of him before. He had this almost 200 yard game, but he looked good. I didn't go back and look at his film and kind of give him analyze him a little more. But yeah, UCLA is impressive right now, but I don't think I'll put them on the board as making crazy noise.
Right.
They're doing the ass mirror still. They're doing that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Savon came back with the jokes. He came back with the jokes.
Hey man,
this week. He came back like he was like, "Man, I'm ready. I'm ready."
And these are just off the top. I don't write any jokes down.
Off the dome.
I don't write nothing down. Now, Wellington, you got him too, bro. You just been, mild manner right now.
Manner,
but you definitely have the jokes. You definitely have them. I know for sure.
I was like, I know.
Oh, I know. If you go back and listen to a lot of podcasts, it's not me joking.
It's hidden.
Most of the time. It's Wellington.
It's in the vault.
It's in the vault. Got the jokes.
It's in the vault. And now getting into like most intriguing Week 6 game, like the one that's so clear that stands out to me is Alabama Tennessee. Like it's the one. Like I really like we talked about. We want to see, can Tennessee actually show they're a legitimate contender? Like, can they actually prove themselves and show that like they're for real? And also like the question of, will Bryce Young be back for this game? Like there's just so many circulating questions around this, and it being at Tennessee, I think is going to be very intriguing. Like, to you, is there another game or maybe that one that you kind of find the most intriguing?
Well, for Alabama and Tennessee, if Bryce Jones is back, it's going to be a different ball game. They're not going to be able to game plan for him. I know they're trying to put in like, okay, if he's there, but if Bryce Jones does play, it's going to be extremely different for that defense to do anything, because the running game is going to be there. And if Milrose plays, I think it's going to be a difficult game for that defense, because they
run heavy offense. It's a run heavy offense with Milrose in there, and it's just with Bryce Young, they can kind of become more predictable at times.
Well, I think Bryce Jones has sneaky speed too, but he just doesn't have to use it because he's so poised in a pocket. Absolutely. He has those intangible things like that internal clock. He knows in the back, like, okay, I got to get it out. He gets the ball out fast. He's similar to Tom Brady's snap, get it out. And getting out of there. If he has to run, he's strategic. He slides. He does all the right movements to be careful as a starting quarterback. But I think Tennessee does have a shot. I'm not taking anything. I think their offense is really, really good. But I think Alabama, if Bryce Jones plays, is going to be a different ball game.
Way different.
It's hard to game plan for him, especially if the running game is working. But The second game I'm looking for is Clemson and Florida State.
There you go.
This game is always a good game.
Yeah.
Florida State, they're 2 losses back to back. You're going against the number 4 team. You have an opportunity to punch them in the mouth. If Florida State beats Clemson, ACC is going to be in some uproar. And that's just they'll be 5-2. They'll have an opportunity to still win the ACC championship. So it's going to be, I think the game is going to be interesting to say the least. I think
Florida State, ACC will be wide open if Florida State wins this. It will be wide open.
Yeah.
Like they will. Yeah.
Wake Forest. I mean, not Wake Forest, but teams like Wake Forest is like challenging teams. Florida State, Clemson kind of struggle with Wake Forest, and Florida State is an 0-2, going on a losing streak. So can they break that losing streak? I'm looking forward to this game. I'll be watching even though I don't like Florida State, but I'm intrigued by it because, hey man, it's ACC. That's the second best. Second best conference in college football.
I mean, they're up there, man. Like when you look at it with what Clemson, the run Clemson's been on, because for almost the last 4 or 5 years, they're in the Final Four. They're in that playoff conversation. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that plays out. And now getting into the NBA, and I mean the main topic of conversation everybody's been talking about with Draymond and Jordan Poole. And just thoughts on how that will affect the Warriors' chemistry and just the future of Draymond with them. Like after the extremely heated practice ending in Draymond punching Jordan Poole, he offered a public apology and announced to step away from the team indefinitely. Recently, today, Steve Kerr addressed the media about Draymond being fined but not suspended and being back for the final preseason game Friday night. Like, what are your thoughts on the situation and just how it possibly affects Draymond's long-term future with the Warriors? Because there is this conversation about like Draymond's at the latter end of his career compared to the front end where he's more athletic and that quicker facilitator. And you also have a player like Jordan Poole who's extremely young, stepped up when Klay Thompson was out, and is going to get a big contract. Like, what are your thoughts on how that situation unfolded and just like where it puts the Warriors' chemistry at?
I think out of all the organizations, the Warriors have the most loyalty for their players. And first of all, that footage should never have leaked.
Never.
Whoever it should have been we should have heard about it, but not seen it. And I think
it escalated.
That's the most impactful. Yeah, exactly. Because you see when what's his what's his name? Jimmy Butler. When he went off against the Timberwolves in practice.
Oh, Timberwolves, Minnesota.
Never saw that footage.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be. I'm not saying that. I mean, we're men. Things happen. Fights happen. Whatever. But it should have never have leaked to the public. It should have been held internally. And then let's go on with our business. Let's find them. Because I think Draymond has given so much to this organization. Yeah. Now he doesn't have the big numbers, but his role is very important in his organization still and for that basketball team still to this day. And I just think of how they did Andre Iguodala. Like in his tail of his career, he was still impactful and he was well needed because without him in most of those series, I don't think they've been as even Sean Livingston it was a pivotal part coming off the bench for that team. So you look at Draymond, I don't think that kind of derailed him from getting the big contract, but I do think it's put on notice that there's tension on that basketball team, whether it's for the contract extension or Jordan Poole's acting different or Draymond is in his feelings or whatever the case may be. Now we know there's tension to this, we thought, perfect basketball team that did no wrong. They had great chemistry.
Yeah. They, like we're always talking about the Warriors have this perfect culture and not saying that they don't have a great culture because obviously like they do, but it's never perfect. There can be cracks within the system. There can be things that because internal feelings will eventually come out. When there had to be something with Jordan Poole and Draymond because there have been talks about them going back and forth, but never to that extent where Draymond literally lost it and just could not, keep his composure. So there's definitely like I would say there's cracks within the system, but it doesn't take away from them still having a great culture.
Mm.
Yeah. And now getting into Victor Wembanyama's potential, just thoughts on the hype he's building early. I mean, this kid right here, I mean, just looks like an amazing prospect from the jump. I mean, checks boxes, as we've mentioned, like the last few weeks with other players, but recently in front of 200 scouts and executives from NBA teams.
Yeah.
Scott Henderson's G League invite versus Wembanyama's Metropolitan 92 really just exceeded a lot of expectations, as Wembanyama just showed so much of what makes him the most high regarded prospect in years, with 2 extraordinary performances that included 70 total minutes. But what are your thoughts on him having, such a diverse offensive skill set, at its finest, and just all the hype he's building up? Because when you look at a player like this, it's not just talk. If you watch him, he literally matches all of everything that the press is building up about him.
He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And not in the stature sense. He's like, I think LeBron said he's a alien, or just like
alien. Yeah.
The man is a unicorn. There's, at his size, the one that is even like remotely close to him is Kevin Durant. But even with that, he has a better skill set than Kevin Durant at an early age. It is amazing how he can put the ball on the ground, and how I think LeBron said this about Luka, how he has that slow pace to break down the defense. Victor has that same at 7 foot whatever.
Literally lulls the defense to sleep. Literally lulls the defense.
Yes,
crazy.
And then strikes when he needs to. He has sneaky speed. I can't say that today. Sneaky speed. He has sneaky speed. He's long. He's first step is he's already at the rim. He's just man. I can't wait to see him, because we all thought Holmgren was going to be Chad Holmgren was going to be exactly that. He's better than him.
Forget that. I mean, this is the guy right here.
Where did they make him? They made him in Scasatoni or something, or I don't know where they made him. They don't even make anymore. He got to be the only one.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see this guy play next year. I can't wait. I literally like whatever team gets him, and I mean whatever team, they literally just they hit the mark with that. They will literally not. It'll be one of the best decisions and best things for that franchise to get. I mean, like, and another thing is, when you look at, the crazy thing is, he probably has just so much more to develop into.
Yeah.
So just like court awareness, and like obviously like he has the physical aspects, but like I think the craziest thing, I'm not sure what you think, but when he actually like develops the mental side of the game, that's when it's really gonna be his craziest. Because we even see with Giannis, like Giannis had those first few years didn't have the shooting. Then when he got the shooting, it was game over. And I think that's going to be the same with Wembanyama, when he actually develops the mental side of the game as well, because he has a little bit of that. But when fully that's mastered, that's when it's really going to be game over.
And on top of that, the facilitating part, because he checks box, like you said, in other places, the mental capacity of the game, and then also getting his teammates involved, that doesn't change his game. Because Luka will get his teammates involved and it won't change his game. LeBron, Chris Paul, the list goes on, from guys who can do that consistently and effectively. So when he masters that, and he masters having the mental of the game, because he's going to go against other great ball players. I can't wait for KD to give him buckets, and he give KD buckets. I can't wait to see that matchup. I can't wait to see Chet Holmgren come back and match up with this kid. So he's going to get bust down. Like, how can you come back and have that mental strength to be like, okay, he's going to get a bucket, but I'm going to get a bucket too, but I'm going to figure out a way to, So I think once he gets that down, he's going to be, maybe the face?
He's out.
It's too early to say that? The face of the NBA? Because everybody's talking about him.
Everybody, bro.
Like, we don't know who Zion Williams is.
We don't even talk about Zion anymore.
Oh, poor Zion.
But now getting to our first album review with Quavo and Takeoff's Only Built for Infinity links. This is their first collaborative effort since 2021's Culture 3, and there's just a lot of diversity they're trying to get in this project, using a classic sample from Stankonia, So Fresh So Clean, to create a classic track that pays homage to Atlanta's legendary rap duo, and also Mixie is a smooth trap R&B mashup, and the album, there's parts of it that go into kind of like the monotonous use of certain instrumentals. But what were your thoughts on this album, and just kind of like some of your takeaways of it?
Literally the same thing. Literally the same thing to me without Offset. Same production quality, same cadence, same voice, same enthusiasm, just the same thing. Exactly the same thing. I don't see the versatility in this. And I think Miss Yella said, it was like, you can't tell some of these guys apart. And this album definitely says,
no doubt,
Offset could have did this by himself. Quavo could have did this by himself.
He's about to do it by himself next month when he releases his first debut album.
Well, he got Wifey on there, so they get a Cardi B feature. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Offset did.
Like they care. Right, yeah. See, I'm telling you, Wellington got the jokes. Offset did, because it's God did. Yeah. See, I'm there. I'm there.
He's already there. He knows what I'm talking about. And it is interesting because, like, sometimes even when trios break up, there will try to be a duo that tries to like kind of create something, and it may not have the same feel. Like, do you think that's more so them getting into something without possibly their strongest member, or is it just like them kind of like falling in that same trap of like, hey, this is what we've done before, let's just do it, but without one guy?
I don't think it's the strongest member part. I think it's the going by the blueprint that they've done since 2014, 13 when they first started, or whatever they started. And then they got Drake on Versace. So I think it's the same, what we fell in love with their style, because we never heard their style before.
Oh, and never. The first culture.
The first culture was different, bro. Like, even Versace, like, even that, it was had similarities of Future, Gucci Mane, or whatever, but it was a tell difference between the three, actually. But now it's like, okay, that sound is stale. What else can you bring to the table? I know a lot of people love this album. A lot of people are talking about it.
A lot of people are liking this, man. I get that. Yeah, because I feel as though Quavo and Takeoff, I feel like they have good chemistry together, honestly.
For sure, yeah.
You can definitely tell the chemistry is strong there. But I do understand your point of what difference can you show? And that's what we always like to see artists switch it up. We always like to see artists kind of diversify their sound. And if you're looking for that, you wouldn't get that. But I think in terms of, hey, can they stand alone by themselves as a duo? I think they can. Like, I really think that they have that strong enough component to be able to do that, because you can't tell in certain songs they build off of each other in a natural way, and they're not overshadowing the other person.
Right, and I think it's Takeoff. Takeoff, I think, is the strongest one of all three of them. But Quavo has the better voice, where it attracts you to the song, and then the production. I mean, if you're used to it, doesn't care about the same style or same sound from an artist, then you're gonna love this. For me, and I'm growing into music and having different ear of music, I want to hear something different from an artist. But without Takeoff, I don't think this works.
Oh no,
Quavo bars be stale, but I think Takeoff is the better rapper.
For sure.
Totally.
Takeoff's an underrated rapper in this group, man.
Yeah.
Got a flow.
I'm glad they used to say their names. Quavo, like all that, so I could, because I didn't know who was which when they first came out. But I knew the voices. Yeah. Mama. Why you looking for me? Takeoff funny, man.
And now getting into Joyce Wrice's Motive review. In her new EP, the production, is very strong in it. There's an organic and vibey sound to it. Each of the beats have a different type of feel about them, and it has mellow elements plus upbeat ones. But what were some of your takeaways from this EP, and what she, and what she was kind of trying to do in this short project?
I think she should go to another genre. I think her voice is bigger than R&B to me. Like I love the second track with the dance hall. I thought it was really dope. But for like as soon as I turned it on, I was like the Contrana, like that vibe with Contrana, whatever his name is.
Contrana, yeah.
She needs to go to that side.
Man, if she could just do a full project of that, oh my goodness, man.
I think it'll be. I think her voice is bigger than R&B because I think they're trying to conform her voice to fit R&B, but where her voice is can go to different genres and be successful at it. I think R&B is a way to get into the game, but I think she needs to explore some other genres.
Yeah, that really good point. Really, because the K-Tronada song, I was like, man, if this whole project could be like this, oh, I'm in. I'm fully in. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. She needs to go to another genre. Yeah,
absolutely. And now getting into Rome Streetz, a Kiss the Ring album. In this new album, he's extremely laser focused and spitting at the peak of his abilities in each and every moment. This just let the sheer momentum of his skill carry the album through toward its end. And this was also largely produced by Conductor Williams. Man, I keep going back to this album, man. Like Rome Streetz is a really good MC to me, and I think I think every beat that was on it fit him perfectly. I think he's the ferocity that he comes with in every song. Like there was almost wasn't one song that I didn't like off this project. But what were your overall thoughts on this and just kind of like the total output in it?
You could tell the difference between each song that he's done, not production wise, but with his voice. Yes. And I'm going to tell you the difference when we go to the next review, where his voice was completely same on every beat. Like he didn't have no enthusiasm, So when I listened to that one and then I went to that one, I was like,
energy, man.
Exactly. It wasn't that, but at first his voice, he checked. I'm going to say we're going through the everything, but he checked boxes. I love the hip hopness. I love his enthusiasm. I love the lyricism. I love the bars. I thought this was a solid project. Stamped hip hop approved.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was really dope. Very solid project.
Hip hop approved. Yeah. Bro. Absolutely.
Yeah, and definitely solid project.
Sometimes you miss projects like this. Like you're wondering, can you still hear projects? And this made you feel like, hey, it's still out there. There's still guys who they just want to bar up. They want to come with it every time. Like, do you feel as though it's one of those things where this is just naturally within him, or he's just kind of like he loves the authentic roots of hip hop and wants to bring that back?
It has to be both because a lot of artists, and I'm one of them, who fall into trying to write something catchy, write something like somebody remembers. But if you really love what you're doing with music and like the authenticity of hip hop, then this is what you don't care about. People like saying, "Oh, his album was amazing," or he didn't have any radio single songs. No. But this album was solid. Production was solid. It flowed through the next song. His voice was not like bro. This was, I think it's both of them. I think you love hip hop. So whatever you rap about, whatever style you come into the game with is influenced from somewhere. So I think it has to be both. Got to be both.
Definitely. And now getting into Boldy James, Fair Exchange, No Robbery. In this new project, Nicholas Craven delivers production that kind of has an Alchemist as sensibility and delivers Boldy sample instrumentals, and it perfectly kind of complemented his matter-of-fact delivery. Also had a very mellow feel to it, and the samples are filled with a lot of 70s deep cuts. What were your thoughts on this project? Because you kind of mentioned there were some things about it that you weren't into as much as the last album we reviewed. What were like your main takeaways and maybe some of the issues you had with it?
I'm glad you said The Alchemist, because maybe that was the guy before. No, actually, that was the guy before the album before. What's his name? We just reviewed it.
Rome Streetz, Kiss the Ring.
Rome Streetz, yeah. That sounded like Action Bronson.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that when it first came on, like, because Action's in that realm too, like. But this guy sounded more like Larry June, because Larry doesn't show enthusiasm or any type of like different feeling to the music. I mean, the beat can be like reggae or something. He's going to sound the same. and I can't listen to that over and over. It has to be some type of change.
You need an artist to show urgency at some times. You need an artist to show, hey, like I'm switching. I'm switching up because this beat is delivering.
That too, bro. Or like, cause you're creating a story within the music.
Yeah.
And every story has a climax. It has, you know, something that changes within the storyline, whatever, to keep you like, it's literally from start to finish. I didn't zigzag or nothing. I'm just gonna walk this pace with the same, you know, even when the beat changes to the next song, thinking, okay, even what's the one in the songs? Even the feature he had on this track, and I'm like, bro, 0 Trey 9.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Guwop was his, like, you could tell the excitement or just like the what's coming in his voice when he's raps, and then it cuts to the other guy, and I'm like, bro, do you not want to be here? Like, did somebody make you come to the studio?
Hey man, you gotta come, man.
Do you not want to be here, bro? So it's like, it's literally the same thing throughout the album. I mean, it's not. I mean, his lyrics are good. He has some bars in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's just like,
and the thing is, like, I listened to this album before I listened to Kiss the Ring, and that made me like Kiss the Ring even more, because it just was one of those things where I thought, like, I mean, like, obviously, like Bodie is extremely talented, but there's just this level of urgency and just like heightened awareness that Rome Streetz had in the project, and it made you feel like this was a complete sequence project. Yes. The transitions were smooth. Everything was just like, hey, this is a full album, and that's what it kind of felt like.
Mm-hmm. You got to have that element in there. Element in there.
Definitely. And now getting to our last review with Cecily's Without You. In the R&B producer's new single, she displayed just like an amazing voice and melodies. This song has just so much depth and soul in it, with the background choir, you know, towering over later on in the track. But what were some of your main thoughts on this song? Because like this is a singer I feel as though can have a really long lasting career, and there is something about her voice that has just a very nice flow to it, nice pattern. But what were some of your initial takeaways from it?
You know, it's crazy. I had to double check right just then and there to make sure that it was Christian. It's a Christian song, right?
I'm from what I know, she's just R&B. She's.
It says Christian.
Really?
Because it sounded R&B. Like, literally, if you have your phone,
let me pull it up.
If you look at it,
let me do a live look.
Can you see this?
Okay. Because I'm on Spotify, so I didn't even see that at all. But man, I told a friend, it makes you feel like it's a Sunday morning. It literally makes you feel
it is so dope.
It's so dope.
That switch up?
So
oh
my goodness.
Oh, that switch up was crazy. Whoever did her production, that's why I was like, wait, this is a Christian song? Like, I know she R&B. This is that R&B. Yeah. Like, this is that was solid. That's a single song.
That's a single song. Yeah,
she's nice.
Single song, bro. That is.
Yeah, she's nice. Who is this girl? If she's beautiful, oh my god.
Hey, Cecily, we're fans.
We're
fans over here full scope. We're fans over here full scope.
How did you find her? Like, where did you find her at? Like, she has a beautiful voice.
Literally on Twitter last Friday, I heard Spotify was sharing like a new up and coming artist. Like, listen to this single. Clicked on it. I was hooked, man. I was like, and first of all, yeah, like she looks amazing. Like that goes without saying.
Oh yeah.
But this song, man, like in terms of it being like a full single, like, could you tell that from the jump, or was it like throughout the duration of the song, like, hey, like this is actually like a single song?
When it first came on, like, okay, it's a vibe, but when it changed, like, and she started harmonizing in it, I was like, single. Perfect. Because she's been dropping, what I've been looking, she's been dropping a lot of singles this year. But this is definitely a single song. I like it. It's the vibe. I think it's catchy in its own right. Yeah, I think this, on an album, if this is a part of our album, this probably is like number 3 or number 4.
Oh, yeah.
That's how good it is to me, because it has to be early in the project to get people to continue to listen throughout. Because if it's like a 15 song and it's in number 3 or 4, I think that's a good placement. So yeah, this is that's just off the if she does have an album, if it's number 3 or 4, I'm going crazy.
I'm excited.
That was an educated guess. Yeah, no, she's nice.
I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to her previous. Did you listen to her previous work already?
This is the only one I've listened to so far, but from what I've and then this is the only one I heard so far. Only one I heard so far. I'm
afraid to listen to anything else because I like one song by artist and I'll try to go to another and it's not the same.
Where was this at?
Are you the same artist?
Are you the same? Are you the same?
Right. So I'm hesitant. To listen to her other track because I like this track a lot.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, this is nice.
Listeners, if you haven't listened, Cecily's Without You, listen to it. Definitely check this one out because it's 5 stars. 5 stars. Track. Definitely up there. Absolutely.
She's R&B, by the way. She's R&B, ladies and gents. She's R&B.
Definitely.
Because I don't want you to go and try to find her Christian songs and be like, oh, she's talking about sex. She's not a Christian artist. She's R&B. I don't know why they put Christian. Like they're going to get a different demographics. I
was so scared when you said that because I was like, did I send him the wrong review? Did I send him like...
I looked at the genre, it said Christian. I'm like, wait a minute here. Oh I don't know. It got God's purpose on the cover art.
The cover art of it.
Yeah. Oops.
Cecily, we're a fan. We're major fans over here at Full Scope Pod.
Yes.
Rooting for you.
Oh yes, indeed.
Definitely. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back with our round. Welcome back to the show, and now we're getting into our Rounders review. And to start off with the overview, Rounders is a 1998 drama film about the underground world of high-stakes poker, directed by John Dahl and starring Matt Damon and Edward Norton. The story follows 2 friends who need to win at high-stakes poker to quickly pay off a large debt. It had a budget of $12 million, brought in $22.9 million to the box office, and had a 64% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But what were your thoughts on this being, the type of film that was, extremely atmospheric and had performances that just really contributed to the movie's entertainment value?
This has to be my top 7 for like gambling, casino, like 21. We have to review 21.
Yeah, we gotta do that one.
With I forgot the guy's name, but 21 was good, and I think this was good too, especially with Matt Damon, young Matt Damon.
That's what I was about to mention, young Matt Damon. Yeah, very young.
Yeah, I like the plot. I like the yes, but yeah. I like this film, man. It just all the the scenes are replaying in my head as I speak. But man, just to see how this is a simplistic storyline, and they made it into something that was amazing, which is it. Sometimes simplistic is the best way to go. And then Matt Damon's his acting ability, just like even with Ocean's 11, 12 or whatever, and all the Good Will Hunting, all these movies, like these simple movies, like the other movie with his Ben Affleck that is Good Will Hunting. I'm tripping when he was in the bar, and he's spit it out like those little scenes, like just make the movie. And this is a dope film. I'm just going everywhere, Wellington, but I like this film. I like Matt Damon as an actor because he has so much versatility, and then the supporting actors in this film too are really dope. Like John Turturro, who's is really funny, and his brother is extremely funny too. He's on TikTok and stuff. But it has some other good actors in this too. I don't know the dude that played Brucey. That's his brother.
Yeah.
Rogan Charles, and he has a TikTok, and I'm like, bro, who gave this man TikTok? Get off TikTok, Brucey.
Get off, bro. and I mean, like another thing that I want to mention, like we've reviewed so many Matt Damon films, like looking at him in his younger stages of his career, like what stood out to you as he wasn't in that that clear cut season form like that he is now, but what stood out to you back then in the 90s, with this film and just kind of like where he was in his career back then?
I mean, it just might sound obvious, but his ability to adapt to any role. This film wasn't not supposed to be what it was. I know when they first was like, okay, we got a movie and we got this young kid, Matt Damon. We're gonna put John in there. We're gonna put what's his name? John Malkovich in there. Because John Malkovich is a seasoned actor
Oh
too. And
yeah,
I think
very
it was
seasoned.
seasoned before he got into this movie. But we're gonna put this together. We're gonna see what Matt Damon did. He's gonna be the lead actor, and then obviously I'm always forgetting Edward Norton. Edward Norton was seasoned at this point too because he played Fight Club and some
Yeah,
other movies. But I don't think they thought this movie was going to be as good as it was, and I think it's whole solely because of Matt Damon's performance.
yeah.
Even him getting beat up was just convincing. Like, like he gets beat up good. Like, no, seriously, Matt Damon
That's
gets beat
different.
up good.
It's a different level when you actually get beat up good.
He gets beat up good, but no, he knows how to translate a character to the screen. I
Yeah,
think that's one of his biggest assets, but also him just being so versatile when it comes to Jason Bourne, from Jason Bourne to Good Will Hunting. I mean, yeah, man,
it's
he
the
has
range.
his
The range is wild. It's a
crazy.
crazy amount of range.
Mm-hmm.
And now getting to our first topic from 1 to 4 stars, what would you give it? To you, like, what would be your particular rating for this film?
I'll give it 3 stars.
Yes.
Just because the screenplay was simplistic, the shooting was simplistic, everything was just simplistic. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I just, I thought it could be better in some points. Some dialogue, monologue could have been better. But
Yeah.
again, the screenplay was really simplistic. But I give it 3 stars. I think it
Yeah.
made up for some of like the memorable scenes.
Definitely. I would give it 3 as well. I mean, this film contained an intelligent and character-driven crime drama, and there was effective direction, but it keeps you engaged throughout, and the
Mhm.
tone of the film adds so much to the atmosphere of it. Getting to favorite character, I personally would go with Mike McDermott because he really changes drastically throughout the film. As he proves
Yeah.
that his poker prowess isn't relying on anyone else other than himself, and really is an independent character throughout the movie. Like, to you, who was your overall favorite character in this one?
Teddy KGB, baby. I feel like his character kind of solidified the movie because we all know Mike was extremely greedy. Um he was an opportunist, and I think KGB was a more opportunist than Mike was. So for
Yeah,
him to go head to head and him finally to beat him, like convincingly beat him, I thought was
uh,
really dope. And then just that, yeah, that, oh man, I can't wait till we get to the memorable scenes. But just, yeah, KGB, man, freaking Oreos, bro. Like, you don't like Oreos that bad. Come on.
and I mean, when you look at an actor like John Malkovich, who's been in so many movies in the past, like, do you feel as though this movie kind of needed that extra seasoned character actor even
Mhm.
more, since they were having like a young actor, Matt Damon, kind of like be in a film where he like you could tell John Malkovich, he kind of needed to be in that one to like actually show and
Mhm.
deposit more maturity into the movie.
Oh, for sure, because I think John Malkovich's characters are more so the villain or the antagonist most of the times. So he knows how to bring that to the screen really well.
Yeah.
I think Matt Damon being versatile and at that early stage of his career, I thought both collided really well and created great scenes and great friction within those scenes. But I think you definitely need a seasoned actor. He's not. I mean, he was not an A-list or a B-list. Well, maybe a B or C lister, but just the character development that he was able to bring to the character himself. That's a lot of characters in that sentence.
Got to do a word count for character.
Oh, you just hear what you say. You have an out of body experience and just listen to what you say. Sometimes like, yo,
I said
bro,
that a
that is
lot.
a lot of characters. But no, I think it balanced well. You have to have a guy in there like Malkovich to balance out Matt Damon's acting ability, especially when you don't have that many A-listers or have any A-listers in the movie.
Yeah, definitely. And now getting into most memorable scenes, I had No Limit Texas Hold'em, where we're sitting down at a high stakes poker game. Mike explains how to play No Limit Texas Hold'em. Also, act Ace is full. Teddy reveals a higher full house, beating out Mike in a high stakes game of Hold'em. The judges game, where Mike impresses, at all at the judges game when he helps Abe take down the pot. Destiny chooses us. Abe tells an anecdote to Mike about following one Destiny's in life, and the sheriff's game. When Worm gets caught for cheating at the table, and there's nowhere to run and hide for Mike. And also another one I had to mention was Johnny Chan for one hand at a table in Atlantic City. Mike takes down the great poker player Johnny Chan on a pure bluff. But there's so many scenes, like so many memorable scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
What were some of the main standouts to you in this one?
You named, and once again, Wellington, you are phenomenal at naming and bringing the great scenes to light. Everyone you said were amazing. The one the judges and the lawyers in that game. The one he beat KGB and he figured out his telltale sign with the Oreos. KGB, that's the further the scene. KGB actually like. Go. He was born like, yo, yeah. But you named all the scenes, but one of the final scenes with him playing KGB, I thought it was one of the best. Just one of the best. Attention to details, knowing who you're going against, knowing the mistakes that you did before, because KGB beat him before. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was all those scenes you mentioned, and then that one stood out to the most to me because he finally beat him, finally met his match. He beat him. Yeah, so that was a good scene.
Definitely. And now getting to most memorable quotes I had. It's not about pride or ego. It's only about money from Mike. In my club, I will splash the pot whenever I please from Teddy. You act like you're the only one with my ambition from Lester. Just think of it as a business decision. He just got out. Let's put him on a plan from Mike. Also, I watched the cards, but I also watched the player react to the cards, which I thought was a really fascinating quote because it showed the psychology behind the game and what Mike was actually being able to read in the players. And then finally, rule number 1: throw away your cards the moment you know they can't win from Joe. To you, like, were there any like standout quotes that you kind of thought were like the top tier ones in Rounders?
Oh, everyone's you named, especially the banter between, I guess you say his voiceover when he's playing KGB about it's all about money. I can leave now, even with the Grammy KGB and halfway payback. I think his name was Petrovsky. But the one that stood out, the one that stood out most to me, and I think he was talking to Joe. He was like, "Why do you think the same 5 guys make it to the final table of the World Series or the poker every year? What are they, the luckiest guy in Las Vegas? It's a skill game, Joe." So going in, Mike is extremely intelligent when it comes to counting cards and playing cards. He's just greedy. He doesn't pay back his stuff. So that really sums up the beginning and the end of the movie because he learned from his mistake. Well, actually, no, he didn't. Well, I just killed my whole point. He did not, because he literally just said it's about money. I can leave now and pay back, but never mind. Willis, he didn't learn from mistakes. That was the whole premise.
Moral of the story. Moral of the Rounders movie. He didn't learn from his mistakes. He
did not. But at least he won.
At least that's the number one thing. That's the number one thing he won.
Well, listen, I just, that was a folly on my part. I really was giving him. a praise. He changed for getting the movie. No, he did. He stayed the same. He stayed the exact same. He was greedy. He should have got our weekend, but I mean, whatever.
And now getting into what did you kind of like the most about this storyline? To me, just how it recreated the suspense of playing the game and included the details and the skill as well as the luck that's involved, because there is just so much psychology that's going on in a game of poker, and just think like it's a thinking game, and you really have to outthink your opponent in it. Like, what were your like what particular element of this storyline did you kind of like the most?
I like the way. I think the competitive nature when it comes to playing cards, because obviously you're going against an opponent, but when you make it mono and mono, and you finally beat, I'm just competitive by nature, so I love the competitiveness that they have throughout the film, because it could have literally been like, oh, we're just going to play poker, we're not going to have rivals, because I forgot what guy came in. And he was like, bro, you better leave. You got to go. I don't like you. I forgot what his name was, but it was on site. And he was like, he always does this every year. Like, so I just love the competitive nature that they issued into the storyline. But yeah, man, especially with KGB, that rivalry was really dope.
Definitely. And getting to our last topic, 10 years from now, like, do you still think it'll be watchable and intriguing? And it's definitely past that, past that test in so many different ways. Like this, like you said, there are other gambling movies, there are other casino movies. Like, how do you think this one, for even people that haven't seen it, will kind of compare to some of the similar ones that they've seen, and also just how it can age, another decade from now?
It has to be up there. And this film is not just about, I don't think it's counting cards at all. Well, it's a hidden counting cards.
Hidden
but like
within
movies
it.
like
It's hidden within it, yeah.
Right. But like movies like 21, it's like literally college kids going to casinos to count cards, but it's other stuff within that, which is really dope.
Yeah.
But I think this will stand out more because it's Matt Damon at an early stage of his career. And I think the screenplay and the writing is so simplistic that it won't take a lot to kind of like indulge into it. Because it has good fighting, like here and there fighting scenes, the Matt Damon getting beat up so perfectly. Excuse me. But I think it has those different elements.
It's so funny to me. Like, if you ever met Matt Damon, I would love you to say, man, first of all, you're a great actor. But also, you get beat up.
You get a beat up perfectly. Even in Jason Bourne, bro, it's just how he takes punches. It's so believable because you can tell when somebody's like the kung fu or whatever, like fighting scenes, they'll like stop to get hit.
Yeah.
But when Matt Damon is a bit different, it's more fluid. Like he's really getting beat up. So it makes me think, like, is he really telling the people to beat me up? Like, bro, make it realistic. Punch me in my face.
Actually do it.
So he gets beat up really well. It's very believable. Very. But I wouldn't tell him to that in his face because I've seen him blow up on camera.
Oh, and, yeah, he gets heated.
I like being in a fight, but Matt Damon knows more than I do, so I don't want to get punched in the face, Yeah. Or do I can sue him?
And then you show up in the headlines, co-host of Full Scope Podcast.
I'm gonna be in a neck brace and all, bro. He just punched me in my face. How is your neck broken? I don't know. I fell.
Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Wendell Burns. I'm my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.